What's up, you guys? Happy St. Patrick's Day. All right, I'm wearing green, but I'm finishing the day in the red. I am so discouraged. I really wanted to be green for St. Patrick's Day. I tried my hardest. I traded 16 different stocks today, and despite all those trades, I was not able to get myself green on the day. So, did I overtrade today? Yep. Did I go green to red? Yep. Does that usually trigger me to overtrade and be aggressive? It does. And the problem for me today was that on my first 3 or 4 trades, I was up about $4,000. And then I took a trade on a higher price stock and lost $5,000. And just like that, I was red on the day, and I was like, well, all right, I'm down 1,000 on the day. I've been taking some late morning and afternoon trades the last few days. I'll be able to get this back. Took a next trade, was down almost 6,000 on the day. And now I was like, oh my God. I just went from up $4,000 to down $6,000. This is not good. That was my morning. And then I made back all the losses. Was actually up $21 on the day. Pretty awesome. And then I lost $5,000. Had to almost completely start over. So, well, dug myself out again. I was down 800, and then I had one last trade and I lost 800 on it. So down 1,600 on the day. I couldn't get green. I tried. I couldn't do it. Not today. So live to trade another day. The 10,000, 11,000 from yesterday was awesome. Today, a little pullback. I'm still green on the week, and hopefully tomorrow we see some better opportunities on the gap scanner, and I'm able to restrain myself a little bit more so I don't have that just big sudden $5,000 loss, and then the best part of the morning is already behind me, and my odds of making it back are just going to get lower and lower and lower as the day goes on. And that's what happened today. So the best time to trade typically for me is the first hour. So be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. I hope you guys enjoy the recap. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Use that coupon code. It's on the website if you want to join us today for St. Patrick's Day. And I'll see you guys first thing tomorrow morning. All right. Bye, everyone. What's up, everyone? All right, so we're going to do midday market recap and go over the trades from today. This was another wild day in the market. It's St. Patty's Day. I'm wearing my green, but I'm going to close the day in the red. I'm down $1,600 today, and I'm so bummed out because it would have been so nice to lock up my 8th consecutive green day, but the end of the day, down 1,600 is not the end of the world. So I'll go over those trades in a second. Lots of trades today. Market extremely volatile. Again, we had White House press release 11:30 to about 12:30. That was going on right here. That gave some great opportunities. And today was a day where I traded. I traded a lot. I mean, I really did. If it was moving, I was willing to jump in. And my biggest winner today was on VXX. My biggest loser was BNTX, and there's a lot in between. Let's see. Today I traded 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 different stocks or ETFs. I think that's a personal record. And it would be nice if I was green, so I felt like all that trading was really worth it. But I'm not, so what can you do? It's not the end of the world. So let's see where. I don't even know where to start. Let's start with. I guess we've got our gap scan here. SNDE. We can look at this one. SNDE here. So this one right now, currently SNDE up 299%. It opened as a gap with an open up here at $3. And shortly after the bell, it did a red to green move right here. It squeezed into a halt, one halt, second halt, third halt, squeezing up to a high of 660. This one I took a couple trades on, and my best trade on it was actually a dip buy into, basically it looked like it was gonna halt going down. And I got long, let's see, where was this? This was a nice setup here, but this right here was actually my best entry at I believe it was 448. So right there at 448, and it bounced from 448 all the way back up to a high of 594. The only problem is that I decided to add right here. Whoops, let me get my arrow. So I decided to add right here, and on this, it popped up to 94 and then did a false breakout, and I actually stopped out right here. So that was kind of a bummer because I had a nice trade, and then I ended up giving back some of the gains. But again, at the end of the day, not a big deal, up $4,437. Let's see, my very first trade today was actually on FLGT, which was also on the gap scanner right here. So SNDE, these are the headlines that were out today. A couple nice trades on it, not the easiest though, and it didn't really hold its levels, which was kind of disappointing. FLGT, kind of interesting as well. It had this consolidation here pre-market, as you can see. So I actually took the trade for the break of the pre-market high, but I got filled a little on the high side at 950. I used an offset on my order and I got filled too high, and I only got a partial fill. So on that, I got filled at 49.50, and I took my profit before it halted. I just said, you know what, I'm not really interested in overstaying my welcome on this. So on FLGT, I made $545. So that was my first trade of the day. But I don't know if I don't even know how to do this recap, if I should do it by stock or by the order that I traded. I'm just gonna do it by stock so I don't lose my place here. Obviously I didn't have all of these winners in a row and then all of these losers in a row. That would have been a devastating day because I would have been up like 15,000 and then gone to down 1,600. It was win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, pretty much. That's pretty much how my day went. So this is my first trade, FLGT. Then we had APRN. This one was a continuation setup, and we actually had a really nice break here of 550. This was super clean. Break of 550, a squeeze up to 6, a halt, an open from the halt, and a squeeze all the way up to 7. This is was one of my biggest winners and became one of my bigger losses because I got back in it in the afternoon. I took some afternoon trades today, and this was where I got in. I got in for the break of 7 right here. And we got a nice break of 7, and it popped up to a high of 715. And if I show you on the sort of micro time frame here, let's see, where was it? Was it right here? Yeah, it must have been right here. So I got in right here for the break of 7. That was right here. It pops up to 706. It drops down to 687 and pops back up to 710. But in this breakout here, I got in and I got out. And then I got back in right here because I was like, oh, well, this is strong. It held that level. So I'm back in, and then it pops up to 715. It hesitated. I added right here for the break over 715, thinking that on the 5-minute chart, if this breaks over 725, we're looking at back to high a day. In this next candle, it dropped to 703. And I was like, all right, well, you know, I'll give it a second. Let's see what it does. The next candle, it drops to 687, and I was like, God dang it. And as you can see, it ended up, wait, let me go back for a second. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right spot. No, okay. I didn't realize it came back up a second time. Wow. This was where I took my trade, 1433. So we got to go back here. 1433. Okay, sorry. It's very similar breakout. All right, so this was the trade right here, break of 7. All right, so I'm in. I take my profit. It pops back up. I then got back in at 715, which was the high of this level right here. It hit 720. All right, fair enough. And then in this candle, it drops to 7. And then in this candle, it drops all the way to 650. 650. And right here, it drops to 625 to 615. I honestly was shocked. I mean, I expect those types of drops from TVIX and VIX, VXX, but I didn't expect it at all from this stock. I really didn't. Probably not alone in that. This was one of the highest volume candles of the day right here after the open. So in that trade, I gave back all my profit that I had on, which was really disappointing. So that, you know, it is what it is. But so at that point in the day, that was later in the day, but APRN, I had a couple nice trades on it at the open, but then later in the day, I was in the red. I was trying to dig myself out of the hole and take a couple small base hits. I was like, if I can get 500 here and 500 there, you know, it's going to put me back in the right direction. I didn't really think I had a chance at getting back to green today, but I thought if I could cut my loss in half, that would be a step in the right direction. And I was able to do that. But yeah, this was a disappointing one. So APRN, so I've lost track of how I'm doing this recap again. I guess looking at the gap scanner, from when I started this morning, I was looking at FLGT out of the gates, took a trade on that, made 500. I was looking at APRN out of the gates, took some trades on that, made about $3,000. So I was up like $3,500. Other stocks on the gap scanner, I wasn't interested in BGI, WTRH, or MBRX. These are all too cheap. But BNTX, I was kind of interested in. It's a coronavirus sympathy stock, coronavirus headlines. It looked like the type that maybe could get a big move. This is all-time highs. It has no resistance. And sometimes stocks like these, they gap up and you do get a really big move. And in this case, I was wrong. And I took my first loss on it right here. I got in at $65. And I bought 500 shares. And then I saw a seller at 65, and I was like, okay, the seller is, the shares are getting bought, so I'm going to add. So I add another 500. Then I add another 500. So I had 1,500 shares. I was looking for an immediate break over 65 and a rip up to the high of 67, 66, 69 or so, and then a retest of the pre-market highs. Right here, I got smoked. I got totally smoked on it. And on that trade, I lost $5,000. So right there, I went from up 4,000 on the day to down like 1,200. And that was, this was at 10 a.m. So at that point, I was just, again, kind of like APRN, almost just shocked that it dropped that much. And maybe I was being overconfident. I don't know. Maybe I was being overly optimistic, but I just didn't expect that. But I should have expected it the second time I traded it. So I got back in it on this micro pullback right here. I was in at 74. It hit a high of 76. I held. I didn't sell any. I was like, I guess trying to make up for the first loss. And then it comes back down and stops me out a second time for a $2,500 loss. So 2 trades, 2 losses. This one's on the blacklist. I will not trade it again. And it's interesting how with 1,500 shares and 500 shares, how much I lost. Whereas over on VIX, VXX, I was trading 3,000 share positions pretty comfortably and really did quite well on this. So my trades on VIX, where I had some really good trades, was this reversal down here off the low. And this was while Trump was doing his press conference. So a nice trade here, a bounce off the lows, and then buying the first pullback right here and riding the momentum on this. Now again, I'm not looking super closely at the VIX chart when I'm taking these trades because it's based on what's happening in the S&P 500. So I was more watching the S&P 500, but it's kind of just a little bit of a tricky thing. So first the market really pops up and then it really reversed hard. So let's see, we've talked about VIX a little bit. We'll talk about it more. SNDE, we talked about FLGT, JNUG I'll cover, HAP I'll cover, NVAX, okay, OPGN. OPGN, let's talk about that one for a second. So OPGN, this was a stock that I traded yesterday and did pretty well on. And this morning, it had this kind of little pullback here and popped up. I had a couple trades on it and lost on both. The first one was right here for a break over VWAP and I lost. And then I gave it a second try and I lost again. So I was like, all right, forget it. Not a big loss really, but 2 losses. mRNA, a coronavirus stock. This one I had a smaller loss on as well. It was, where was this? I actually think it was right here for a flat top breakout, and it was a false breakout, and I stopped out as it did that false breakout. And I was annoyed because I looked back a little while later and it was up, but you know, I didn't want to hold through that kind of pullback, so I cut my losses on it. TDoc, this is a telemed company. I traded this during the White House press hearing or release or whatever it's called, briefing, and this was kind of disappointing because, again, very choppy. I got in at, let's see, it was 120, I think it was 127. It was like it was right around here, looking for the first 1 minute candle to make a new high. I anticipated my entry. It ended with 500 shares and I lost $2 a share as it dropped back down. Of course, it ended up coming back up. So whatever. But again, you know, I didn't want to lose $10 a share on 500 shares. So I cut the loss at $2 a share, lost $1,000. So those, and then LUV is Southwest. During the press briefing, there was some mention of airline stocks. And so I took a trade on this and made $67. It's nothing to be super excited about. Delta also moved up during that same period. So did American Airlines. But yeah, I just didn't capitalize on that very well. NVAX, this was a very quick trade. We had momentum coming up here, and I actually took the quick breakout, micro pullback right here for the break over $10. Quick trade, but a big rejection. It didn't hold that level. So had to get out of that pretty quickly. And HAP, H-A-P-P, there was a headline on it about beginning production of these masks. And I took a trade on it on a break of this area here, although my entry was a little higher. And we hit a high of 65, but didn't really hold that level. So those were kind of my small trades. JNUG was also a small momentum trade. And then we'll get into, let's see. Yeah, so JNUG, the break of 13 was the trade there. And it broke nicely, but I kind of screwed it up, so whatever. Okay, so those are a couple of my trades. The way I traded today, I went green first on FLGT, then on APRN, and I was up about $3,000, $4,000. Then I lost $5,000 on BNTX, and I was down $1,000. Then immediately after that trade, I bought GRIL, and that put me down $5,000 on the day. Actually, almost $6,000. This I got into as it hit the scanners. It was, I believe, right in here. And it dropped, as you can see, and it was a pretty nasty drop. And I took 10,000 shares of it. So that was disappointing. That was a pretty good sized loss. Having 2 losses back to back, I was too aggressive on BNTX, and then as soon as I saw GRIL hit the scanner, I jumped into it. It was a little impulsive, and I think, trying to make back that BNTX loss really quickly, and I just basically at that point felt like I'd ruined my day. I was down $5 grand. But that was just before we went into the press briefing, and then during the press briefing, I had a couple of nice trades. I was able to actually dig myself out of the hole to being up $21 on the day. I was up $21 on the day, but I kept trading. And maybe I should have just walked away there and said, hey, you know what? It's a narrow miss on what could have been a really big red day. $21 is nothing to be excited about, but it's better than being red. I kept trading, and I kept trading because I kept seeing opportunities. And this can be a tough thing with trading, just kind of continuing to get sucked in, and then you're taking next trade, next trade, next trade. So with the S&P 500, I don't buy SPY as a stock or as a ETF. It's too expensive. So what I end up doing instead is I trade SPXL, which is the S&P 500 leverage times 3. So right now, let's see, SPXL is up 10%. SPY is going to be up probably 3.5%, 4%. So it's usually about times 3. All right, so 4% and 11%. SPXS is going to be down about 13%. It's inverse, but also leverage times 3. So on SPXS, this was actually a really awesome trade. This one I feel pretty good about. So what I did here, the S&P 500, and let me pull up another chart over here. So this was the S&P 500, and this was coming in towards kind of the end of the day. We were bouncing off, let's see, let me just get my arrow. Okay. We were bouncing off this trend line right here and right here. And so when I saw that first bounce and then the second one, I was like, okay. So wait, now I'm trying to remember which trade was this? So SPXS, I got in at 1965. And that was, gosh, now I gotta go look. Now I'm all confused. Okay, okay, yep. So it was right here. So, so basically, this is. Let me draw this trend line. All right, so we're gonna mark from here to here. So this bounce right down here at 1544 was actually the one that I took. So the market, so this was selling off, and this was, we go over here. So 1544, this is where the market hit this top trend line. That's why I was all turned around. Okay, sorry, it was when, come on. Come on, there we go. All right, so it was right here. So when the market hit this trend line here, so I had a bounce on SPXL down here, which I bought long, and I took a long on SPXS, which is a short on the market right here at 1544. And this was looking for a quick squeeze. Let's see, where was this trade? From 1970 up to $20. So it's this quick bounce right here from the low is 1960 up to 2036, which was a really pretty clean bounce right there. So that was bouncing off of support as the S&P was hitting its resistance level. I will say that, and sorry, let me put on a better view for you guys. I don't know why I'm on that view. Sorry about that. For those of you guys on Facebook. So, because I can barely see what I'm looking at. So I will say that this has been a kind of difficult couple of days because I'm watching so many things at the same time. Over on the left, I've got the S&P 500, and then over on the right, I've got SPXL, and then I've got TVIX, and I've got SPXS, and VIX, and it's a lot to watch. And there's been a lot of opportunities. Yesterday was a great day. I was up a little over 11, just about 11,000, which was very nice. Today, I kept looking for that stock or the S&P to make a big move. And even though the market's up 4%, Dow Jones is up 1,000 points, the biggest moves were early in the day. And although I made some good money on them, it wasn't enough to recoup what I'd lost on GRIL and BNTX. And so through the afternoon, I kept looking for stocks or the S&P to make bigger moves. And I did make back some money, which was good. My losses on GRIL and BNTX were a little, I was a little too aggressive on my share size. BNTX, the pullbacks were fine, but I was trading something outside my price range. Granted, so is almost everything on this list today. So, I'm not going to beat myself up about that too much, but BNTX just went wrong. And it happened really fast. GRIL went wrong. It happened really fast. And then I spent the rest of the day digging myself out of the hole. And then I was almost out of the hole and then had another big loss on APRN. And that's when I was only down 21 on the day, and then boom, another big loss, and I had to dig myself from, let's see. So if we look at my P&L on the day, it starts at 0. I go up 500, and then I go up 3,000, up to about 4,000, down 1,000, down 5,000, almost 6,000. Then from there, back up to $21. And then I lost 5,000 on APRN. And then I'm back up now to minus 1,600. I was minus 800. And then I had a last trade that was an $800 loss. So choppy day. Chop, 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 chop. And couldn't get on the green side of things today, which is disappointing. But it's the first red day in the last 8 days. I had 7 consecutive green days. I really wanted to try to finish today green. I tried as hard as I could. I couldn't stay green. I couldn't get green by a reasonable amount, and I couldn't stay green. So I was at least able to cut my losses, which is good. If I was closing right now at low of day, I was down 6,000. I think at that point I would feel really disappointed in myself for having such a big loss, and I would feel like I didn't capitalize on the opportunities to try to at least maybe not get myself all the way back to green, but work my way out of the hole. But today, boy. Long day, and I don't have a lot to show for it, but again, this is better than being down $6,000. So glass is half full when you think about it like that. And I'll be back at it tomorrow. I would like to say that tomorrow I'll trade less stocks. If I trade more stocks tomorrow, I would be shocked, because I think 16 is now my record. And if I'd been able to avoid this BNTX trade, I probably would have been finishing the day today up $2,000 or $3,000, maybe $4,000 or $5,000 at the most. I probably would not have traded until the bell rang. I would have at some point much sooner thrown in the towel. But I dug a hole and I had to start working my way out. And so this is where I'm at right now. The overall market, in a lot of ways, looks good for a bounce into tomorrow. Just sort of a double bottom off of yesterday's low here. So maybe a little bit of a reversal, but I even asked myself, I was like, Ross, what do you think about maybe holding SPXL overnight? And I said, shut your mouth, because that's not my strategy. Holding overnight to try to, because I'm down $1,600. That's totally silly. It doesn't fit within the strategy. So I quickly talked myself out of that, and I'm all cash and excited for tomorrow morning. Hopefully we see some good opportunities. The last few days, it's been really hard because on the one hand, today we did have some momentum in small caps with APRN, but SNDE was not easy. I was a little aggressive on my share size, but it wasn't easy to trade. JNUG that's not even a small cap really. HAP was not easy. NVAX not easy, and then this one, and ultimately today I am down on small caps. I would say it looks like, and I'm in good shape on my best trades were on the VIX, VXX, SVXY, SPXS, and then SPXL. I'm down 1,100 on. So even though the market's up 4%, I'm red $1,100 trying to trade the market to the long side. The drops to the short side were just easier to trade for me today. So anyways, quite a day, and I would love to trade in these markets for the markets we had back in I don't know, November, December, where I could trade for an hour and see some really solid momentum. But right now the overall market is just such a point of focus that it's detracting. I think it's detracting volume from the small cap market, and so that's making follow through not as consistent. Although we're seeing follow through on some, not on all, and so it's a little bit hit and miss, which makes it hard to know which one's the one to be aggressive on. I was aggressive on GRIL, didn't work. I was aggressive on SNDE, it worked. They cancel each other out. So kind of tricky, but I think I'm just proud that in the last 7 days, as the market dropped 30%, that I was green, and even though I'm red today, still been a nice run. So be back at it first thing tomorrow, hoping for some momentum. So I'll see you guys first thing. I'll be live streaming at 9:15 on YouTube. All right, so see you guys then. Bye everyone. Hey, did you know every morning I go live to stream my pre-market watch list? Subscribe to the channel, press the alert button, and you'll get the notifications. And if you want to learn more about trading, check out the links in the description. And if you have questions, post them in the comments, because I personally respond to every comment posted on my channel.